Welcome back to the Open Wheel Offline League Season 4, race number 5. We're at a quarter of the way through the season, and we're here at Road Atlanta. Qualifying happened yesterday, and in just a moment we will go through your starting grid for today's race. So starting, let's go back to front as we usually do based on qualifying order. So your last place qualifier, Ethan Martz, has kind of had a struggle so far this season. Last in points as well. Going to be starting in the last row. Miles Rowe, 23rd. Didn't have that great of a time either. Hasn't really had the greatest time, but actually 11th in points with two solid results, but the other two results maybe not as much. A little bit of a disappointment for Chet Jordan. He's going to be starting all the way back in 22nd, and then 21st was Alessio Deletta. He's going to be starting a little bit farther up. 20th was Jacob Abel, not what he would have wanted after what looked to be an improvement at Oregon. It's kind of backslid. 19th, Mahavir Raghunathan. Also been kind of a rough time for qualifying, but this was actually his best starting spot so far. However, he's going to be bumped back to 21st. 18th place, the number 99 of Brendan Hubbard. And then 17th is Stingray Robb. 16th was Gail Barnhart. He actually got a big boost, so he's going to be from 12th today. So he gets a little lucky. 15th was teammate Marcus Armstrong, only gets a one place boostment? One placement boost. 14th, Benjamin Peterson. Just barely missed out on round 2. And then teammate Lindsey Brewer as well, as she qualified 13th. 12th, points leader Robbie Lohr. He does not get lucky with the qualifying draw. Will drop back to 15th. And then 11th, Yuki Tsunoda. He gets lucky. He'll move up one row. 10th is Glubler Lohr. And that's actually where he will start. And then also not very lucky with the qualifying draw. Or, sorry, is lucky with the qualifying draw. David Malukas. He'll go up one spot. It's his teammate who wasn't, who I'll get to in a moment. 8th, Guy Gagné, that's going to be where he starts. Just missed out on the Fast 6. And then Dorianne Pin, her streak of starting 3rd, gets broken as she qualified 7th. She will get lucky and move up one row. With all these people moving up one row, one person had to get unlucky, and that is the 07 of Catherine Legg. Qualified 6th, going to be starting all the way back in 11th, so has a lot of work to do today to make up that ground. But the top 5 is kind of where they should be. Connor Zilic not quite where he wanted to be. He'll start 6th. Then Callum Ilott will be 4th after qualifying 5th. And then your top 3, almost as they should be. Louis Foster will be on the front row with Shane Van Gisbergen, his teammate, wasn't able to get 4 poles in a row. Got 2nd. And okay, I can't describe what just happened, but I dropped my AirPod case and it somehow launched an AirPod like 5 feet in the air. Anyways, Ryan Preece, second pole of the season, will bring us to green. If you're looking at his tires right now, he is going to be starting on the soft, so his tires are going to go out sooner. How they'll actually start is going to be on top. I don't know why it's based on time, but that is where they will actually start from. Ryan Preece he's going to be on the soft tires, Foster on the softs, Van Gisbergen, the first car on the mediums, as Callum Ilott will be on the hards. That is the first car on the hards. Dorianne Pin on the hards, Connor Zilic on the mediums, Malukas on the softs, Gagne on the mediums, Tsunoda on the hards, and Glubler on the mediums. That is your top 10. So a good mix of strategy through these top 10 cars. Let's also take a look at your weather. Just by coincidence, May 3rd is when this race will take place, and it is actually May 3rd. A little bit later into the afternoon, a 5 p.m. start. 6 mile per hour wind speed, 74 degrees track temp, so a little bit cooler than the other races so far, and only 90 degrees track temp. Sorry, 74 degrees air temp. I am kind of having a stroke right now. Gonna be a long pace lap, but Ryan Preece back on pole. Hasn't really delivered quite what he would like so far this season. Started the season with two 19th placements, with a DNF at Texas, and then just all over the place, caused a yellow at Sandown. There's a little bit of smoke and debris coming from out behind the car. I think that's just track dirt and dust. Nothing to worry about, don't worry about it. And then he's had 2/8 the last two races, which have moved him up the points order, but 8th is not good enough to really boost your spot in points. You really need a win, and hopefully today he can capitalize on it. But Louis Foster, he's going to be charging pretty hard. Not as good of a qualifying effort that the Swindlers of the Immortals have grown accustomed to so far this season. But they're all going to be right there at the front either way. Take a look at your track map just to see where we're at. 2.5 mile circuit, 11 turns, a big S's section in the first portion of the lap, a lot of straightaways. And this chicane that they're coming up to will be the big passing point in the lap, the longest straightaway. And this is the tightest turn besides the S's. 40 laps here today. Pace car is going to pull into pit lane as we go downhill. And green flag is out. We are racing at the Grand-Prix of Road Atlanta. Ryan Preece gets a big start, and Shane Van Gisbergen already going to try to attack his teammate. Louis Foster's going to be on the softs. Can he defend? As he will go into second. Oh my gosh, Callum Ilott. Yellow flag immediately. Yeah, yellow flag on that instantly. What the heck was even that? Ryan Preece. Callum Ilott already out of the race. After a good qualifying effort, just got freaking chucked through the air. Let's try to see if we can find what happened there, because that was something strange. Okay, so let's try to see from a helicopter view. We can see what happened here. So here they go into turn one, gonna be with Dorian Pin. Let's go into slow-mo and see what exactly happened. So you see Foster and Van Gisbergen. Foster's gonna be on the better line. So it was coming up around here. Okay, so Dorian Pin gonna drive alongside. And then I think, who's it gonna be? Is it gonna be Zilich or Pin? Oh, Wheel just drives into the back of Pin. That's actually all on him. And oh my god. Into the tree line. Jesus. Try to take it back and let's go on board to see what he saw. So a little wide, that's going to allow Dorian Pin to drive up alongside, and then boom, just into the back of her. And yeah, yellow flag on that. How fast does the flagman react? pretty quickly. So, unfortunately, Kalamilot's day already over. Your biggest mover, Lindsey Brewer, up 2 spots at the start from 16th to 14th. But everyone pretty much moved up 1 spot because of that. Gosh. That is the 3rd time we've seen a car leave the track this season. As Dorian Pin gonna come into pit road. Yeah, doesn't have a back wing. Unfortunately, that's not her fault. As Mahavir Raghunathan and Ethan Mart's gonna join her. Mart's is on hards. Raghunathan is on soft, so I don't know what Mart's is doing. That's going to be another last place finish for Kalamilot after a podium finish. So on road courses, we're going to shorten the yellows. So we're going to be going green this time by. It's going to be a double file restart for the next 2 attempts. If there's more, then it'll go to single file restarts. The Dorian Pin going to be from 23rd with a damaged car. We're going to have to see if she can do anything with that. 15th in points. Ryan Preece, your leader, comes into this race 16th in points. Not where you would expect a champion to be, but it is early on. I don't know why Shane Van Gisbergen is so far backed up. This does help the cars on soft tires. So now they don't have to go as long on them at full push. As we get ready to go back green, Ryan Preece gonna have to do this again. Dorian Pin just left the pit, so she's gonna stay on the lead lap. Very spread out and wide, and Ryan Preece is gonna get a big jump once again. And the field not as quick to react, but they're actually a lot closer this time. As Van Gisbergen and Foster gonna fight once again. Foster gonna stay out ahead this time. Hopefully we don't see another flying car. Luckily, it looks cleaner this time through, as a whole outside lane did not get started for some reason. For whatever reason, this whole outside line had issues. Chet Jordan up 10 spots into 12th. Don't know what happened there. Connor Zilic dropped all the way to 10th. And our whole order has gotten shaken up. Louis Foster trying to look around Ryan Preece now. 2 soft tire cars leading the way. Dorian Pin you can see on her own. Top 3 getting away. David Malukas in 4th. This would be a good points day after 2 not very great rounds the last times out. Chet Jordan, biggest mover, up 11 spots into 11th so far, as we've already mentioned. Besides Dorian Pin and Kalamilot, Globler is your biggest loser, down to 15th after starting in 10th. For some reason, with how wide they were on that restart, a lot of the cars on the outside line, it seems, Didn't quite get going. Lost a lot of time. Glubler now trying to make up time as Ragunathan under attack from Benjamin Peterson. As Louis Foster is all over the back of Ryan Preece, already looking to try to battle for the lead. That too aggressive on the soft tires, we're going to have to see. So far, nobody this season has won from pole. Ryan Preece trying to be the first, but Louis Foster trying to be the first to get 2 wins this season. He's in drafting range. Is he willing to stay behind, or is he on full attack? Looks like he's willing to sit behind for now, but you may not have many opportunities later to decide that. All over the back still, though, as David Malukas has closed in to Shane Van Gisbergen in the battle for third. They are second and third in points. Foster chasing down Preece through the S's. Two temps back, now 3 temps. He's going to need a big run. As is he going to go for it now? Still not quite willing to go for it, but Van Gisbergen is looking to go on the attack. I think if you're Louis Foster, you should try to get by now. Connor Zilic gets by Lindsey Brewer for 8. He was one of the ones that got shuffled back on that restart. Down through the S's goes Louis Foster and Ryan Preece. No! Ryan Preece loses it! And Louis Foster hits him. And now they're side by side for the lead. Louis Foster and Shane Van Gisbergen, as everyone has just been bunched up together as Preece loses it on his own. And everyone is now stacked up. Everyone jockeying for position. Here comes Catherine Legg trying to go for the lead. And she's going to get there. And just like that, Louis Foster, he's got damage, I think, on that front wing, making contact with Ryan Preece. And now Masters of Motors have gone to a 1-2. Catherine Legg now up 10 spots from where she started, 11th to 1st. Just like that. And besides Kalamila, we didn't see a spin in qualifying, so that's the first time we saw one, and it comes from Ryan Preece, who's had issues keeping his car under control this season. It happened at Sandown. I think he had an off track at Suzuka, but man, that has gotta hurt. But yet self-inflicted. Connor Zilic trying to go on Gail Barnhart, can't quite get there. So Catherine Legg now your leader. Just like that, everything gets shaken up on its head. And both swindlers are the ones to lose out, as Chet Jordan and Glubler battle coming through turn 1. Ryan Preece going to enter pit lane. Besides, the soft tires are not hanging on anymore. Catherine Legg on the softs. David Malukas on the softs. Top 3 all on the soft tires. But Catherine Legg is driving away. Will Ryan Preece have a prolonged pit stop for damage? We're going to have to see. As here comes Louis Foster. Nope. pit stop for Preece is normal, as Van Gisbergen, Foster, and Malukas all in one cluster, and Van Gisbergen's going to get by Louis Foster. And Foster's going to come in now and get off the softs, and maybe have a look at that front wing. Catherine Legg up to a 1.8 second lead. David Malukas holding back Shane Van Gisbergen. Yuki Tsunoda finds his way in fourth, and Gail Barnhart currently on for another top 5. Louis Foster comes out about 10 seconds up the road from Preece. Gonna have to see if that works out for him. David Malukas trying to hold off Van Gisbergen. Van Gisbergen gonna be on the mediums. Is gonna get a huge advantage and just blow by. So Van Gisbergen now up to second. Robbie trying to battle Alessio Deletta. He's gonna get by. As David Malukas fights back, he's gonna go up the inside of Van Gisbergen. But into the S's, Van Gisbergen nearly loses it, side by side still, and Van Gisbergen is going to have to give up the placement, and that's going to lose them about 2 seconds to Catherine Legg. But that was an amazing side by side battle for the first few turns between Van Gisbergen and Malukas. We still have a lot of racing left, and these guys are very elbows out right now. Malukas has a good opportunity to score some big points today. Masters and Motors haven't been so strong the last few races. This would be a good opportunity to put their foot down as Van Gisbergen, he's going to sneak by once again. But is he going to hold it this time? Malukas going to go down the hill. Can he draft back up to him? He's going to try once again. Up the inside. But this time Van Gisbergen is going to stay ahead with that medium tire advantage, but he is sliding all over the place. Five seconds is the gap to Catherine Legg. A lot of time needing to be made up, as David Malukas now falling backwards to Yuki Tsunoda, who's on the hard tires. I think he may need to bail soon, but he also needs to think about, can he make it to the end with just one pit stop? And that's something that Preece and Foster may need to watch out for. Foster's made up a bit of time, but not a lot, as Barnhart and Zilich battle back here. Barnhart's going to have to launch off the corner. He's going to stay ahead, but Zilich is still right there. Tsunoda now battling Malukas. Could be for a podium placement. Van Gisbergen cutting down a gap to Catherine Legg. I'd be interested to see where Louis Foster would come out compared to the rest of the field. A lot of the cars are just kind of in one big draft train. Starting at Malukas, going all the way back. I believe it's Ethan Martz at the end, down in 20th. Yuki Tsunoda in the draft once again. They've lost about 2 seconds to Shane Van Gisbergen. Here they go, 2 by 2. Yuki Tsunoda is just going to have the tire advantage and go by for third. David Malukas trying to make these tires go as long as possible. But that is proving to be rather difficult. Right now, biggest mover, Catherine Legg, up 10 spots, 11th to 1st. Also, Chet Jordan, 22nd to 12th. That's still probably not where he'd like to be. He'd want to move forward even more. Catherine Legg currently looking pretty solid on these soft tires. Still holding a 5-second gap over Shane Van Gisbergen. as Ryan Preece has gone back into pit lane. Did he double soft? It looks like he may have. Yeah, he double soft, and that is just going to hurt his race as we have a cluster down here. Zilich goes by Malukas, who is stacked all the way up. Barnhart and Brewer battling as Malukas, Barnhart, and Peterson all going to come in at the same time, but kind of jumbled. Miles Rowe going to join them. Now Connor Zilich up into 4th on medium tires. Lindsey Brewer 5th, Guy Gagne 6th. Ryan Preece right in the middle of all this as a lapped car. 25 laps to go. Catherine Legg 4-second lead on Shane Van Gisbergen. Those tires starting to degrade increasingly more, as I believe Malukas has lost a lot of time on pit road, has gotten jumped by Pin, Peterson, and Barnhart. As Catherine Legg pits now, gonna have to see where she comes out compared to Louis Foster, who pit a lot sooner. But is Foster gonna be able to make it to the end? That's the big question right now. Alessio Deletta also pits. Louis Foster coming down the hill. I think he will be ahead of Catherine Legg. Yeah, Catherine Legg leaving the pits now. So Shane Van Gisbergen, your leader, he's on the medium tires. I believe Yuki Tsunoda is on the hards. Yes, Yuki Tsunoda is on the hard, so he's going to try and go for the lead here. Yuki Tsunoda looking for another good race result. Currently sits 4th in the standings as he's going to take the lead from Van Gisbergen. Kind of made it look easy. Lubler has clawed his way back into the top 5 after passing Lindsey Brewer, as teammate Stingray Robb in 7th. Chet Jordan in now with teammate Marcus Armstrong. Louis Foster is about 6 seconds up the road from Catherine Legg. There's about an 8 further seconds up the road from Gail Barnhart, as David Malukas trying to carve his way back forward after a bad pit stop, as he's going to get by Dorian Pin here, who pit early on. Jet Jordan and Marcus Armstrong going to come out behind everyone who's pit, including Rowe and Deletta. So they've lost a lot of time staying out longer. So I wonder how that translates for the guys that haven't pit so far. Right now, the top 5 out of the cars that have pit: Foster, Legg, Barnhart, Peterson, and Malukas. Yuki Tsunoda leads Shane Van Gisbergen by a second, as Mahavir Raghunathan has gotten, but no, Lindsey Brewer is pitted now. Gonna have to see where she comes out. Yuki Tsunoda still leads. Catherine Legg gonna go by Brewer now. As Dorian Pin still out there having a tough day. Didn't quite catch up to the field on the restart. Ryan Preece had a self-spin. He's down in 23rd. Had to pit again to try to go to the end here, but that is quite rough. Stingray Robb trying to hold off Mahavir Raghunathan. Both cars on mediums. Looking for some good results here. Glub clawed his way through the field pretty well, as Stingray Robb and Mahavir Raghunathan still battle. This is for P6 currently on this strategy, the cars that have not pitted. Gail Barnhart still leads 3rd on this strategy, as Louis Foster is starting to catch up to the back of the train of the cars that haven't pitted. He's going to hope that they pit soon so he doesn't get impeded by them. As Yuki Tsunoda has pulled a 2.5-second lead on Shane Van Gisbergen. As here comes Connor Zilic trying to go by Van Gisbergen. This is for second. And Zilic is going to get that. Neither car pits just yet. Still going to try to hang on for as long as they can. As he tries to fight back, but Jacob Abel and Ethan Martz battle side by side. Going down the front stretch. Abel not having a strong race so far. But Louis Foster is now caught up, and he's got to hope that he doesn't lose a lot of time stuck behind these cars. Because right now, it seems like the main cars he's battling is Yuki Tsunoda. He's 17 seconds back, so should be ahead, as Peterson is side by side with Barnhart for what could be third. And Peterson is going to get that with a good move. But Louis Foster currently 17.5 seconds back as Van Gisbergen sends it up the inside of Zilic. Can't quite get it done. There's a lot of battles going on right now. A lot of back and forth. You have Raghunathan and Rob for 6th. These two losing a lot of time. Gagne closing up. He's going to be very careful with Van Gisbergen. Does not want any problems. As Miles Rowe goes by David Malukas. Miles Rowe going by Malukas is a little bit of a surprise, but Rowe is on softs. Malukas is on mediums or hards. I can't quite tell. We may be trying to go for long. As here we go. This is a three-way battle for second now. Zilic, Van Gisbergen, and Gagne. Van Gisbergen offline is going to get the position. None of these cars thinking about pitting just yet. As Foster is now losing time to Yuki Tsunoda, stuck behind Ethan Martz. Oh, Zilic and Van Gisbergen are close. But Van Gisbergen going to stay ahead as he is drifting through these turns. Right now, the running order feels like it has been put into a blender and just completely mixed up. I had no idea how this is going to end. Yuki Tsunoda has gained about a second up on Foster. Now almost 19 seconds. As he continues to lose time, he needs to hope that those cars pit soon. As Gagne battles Zilic, this is for third, and Gagne is going to get it. So Zilic going backwards as Foster finally gets by Ethan Martz. Kinda, he is in a cluster right now with Catherine Legg right on his heels. This could also be the battle for first now that Catherine Legg has got here. He's got to carve his way through this field. Brendan Hubbard and Jacob Abel, as he's now going to put a car between him and Legg, with Jacob Abel going to be right there. As Dorian Pinn's going to pit again. Tough day for her in that 03. Here they go, trying to look around Brendan Hubbard. Connor Zilic and Guy Gagne battle for third. Right now, Yuki Tsunoda now pits. We're going to have to see where he's going to come out compared to the cars that haven't, as everyone's going to pit except for Guy Gagne, who's going to stay out one more lap. He's going to take the lead of this thing. Going to have to see where the 11 of Louis Foster comes out in comparison. Stingray Robb and Robbie Lohr are also going to stay out. Louis Foster going to take the lead from Yuki Tsunoda, as Tsunoda has a 10-second pit stop. That is a very long pit stop. Going to get back going. A lot of these cars having long pit stops. I assume they went pretty heavy on fuel. But Louis Foster, essentially your leader right now, as he's gotten by Brennan Hubbard and now has clean air to work with. Catherine Legg has to try to claw her way through these cars. As right now Yuki Tsunoda released into 11th. Has a lot of work to do. But right now some of the cars in front of him haven't pitted yet, as Guy Gagné will pit this time. As Catherine Legg gets by Jacob Abel. So now Louis Foster should be into the lead. Then Catherine Legg right behind in second. So all the pit stops have cycled now. What you see is what you're going to get. Guy Gagné, he's going to try to hopefully cycle out to a good spot. But right now, as Gail Barnhart has pit again, and so has David Malukas. Oh no, that is devastating for both those two, and they are going to lose so much time because of it. They pit twice, and they are going to drop all the way to the tail end. That is going to be another poor result for David Malukas. It's going to be 3 straight, basically. Shane Van Gisbergen now holding on to 6. Going to have to try to defend from Glubler. Here he comes in the 0-0. Not able to get him there. Connor Zilic and Guy Gagné battling, but Zilic is going to stay ahead. Benjamin Peterson having a good run in P3 as Deletta is going to pit again. Now the question is, can everyone make it to the end, or are they all going to use up their tires too much? Like Miles Rowe, I believe he is on the softs, so he's going to have a tough time making it to the end here. As he is probably going to get swallowed up by Van Gisbergen and Glubler here. As Foster pits again. Foster pit too earlier, and now he's paying the price by pitting again, as Van Gisbergen is going to sneak by Miles Rowe. But Catherine Legg is now your leader. But can Catherine Legg make it to the end? She pit pretty early. So Louis Foster going to tumble down the order with a late race pit stop, as Ryan Preece has had another incident, and he is on the curb, but he's going to get back going without any need for a yellow flag, but he's going to put some debris on the track. So Catherine Legg now leads by 7 seconds. Louis Foster all the way down in 15th. And that's got to be a gut punch. Catherine Legg looking for her first win. As the, you've really just got to try to make sure you can make it to the end now. As what is happening here, everyone gaggled up behind Miles Rowe, who's on the softs, who's trying his best to make it to the end, but it may be a uphill battle. As Chet Jordan entered pit lane, he also pit way too soon and is now paying the consequences of that, and he's going to drop back. He was on for a good run from where he started, but he is going to tumble down the order. Glubler had a lot of issues trying to get by Miles Rowe, but he finally gets by. Down in the corner you can see the stint length, so Catherine Legg and Benjamin Peterson have gone the longest of anybody, as Mahavir Raghunathan now battles into ninth, getting by Marcus Armstrong. He's on for his best result so far this season. But here comes Marcus Armstrong. He's going to fight back. Up the inside, can't quite get there. Points leader Robbie Lohr in the background there. He's 13th right now. Really needs a good result. Right now it's not looking like it. But Catherine Legg trying to go pretty long on this stint. Halfway through. Benjamin Peterson also pretty long. Miles Rowe has been out there for a while. Marcus Armstrong has been out there for a while. Those are the guys that are really trying to hang on. As Priest has entered pit lane again. Zilich and Gagne keep going back and forth. Here goes Gagne. Tries to take it around the outside but can't quite get there. Rough day for Ryan Priest starting from pole. Has had 3 pit stops and a spin. Is all the way down in 23rd. Yuki Tsunoda has caught Benjamin Peterson for 2nd place. This would be a very good points day for Tsunoda if he can get by here. He's gonna look to the inside. And oh, nearly makes contact with Peterson. That got a little close for comfort. As Louis Foster trying to claw his way up through the field. There is a lot of side-by-side battling going on right now. He is for top 10. Marcus Armstrong trying to get by Lindsey Brewer, who got by him. Side-by-side still. Oh, wow. And Ryan Priest has had another incident. His 3rd spin. As Yuki Tsunoda now trying to go the long way around to get by Benjamin Peterson, but he'll get it done. He is now into 2nd. So if Catherine Legg cannot make it to the end, Tsunoda is now in the spot where he can get it, but Yuki Tsunoda has a chance, or sorry, Benjamin Peterson has a chance to get by him, but can't quite take it. Yeah, Ryan Priest just having a tough day. 1 lap down now. Nearly 2. As Catherine Legg is just a little bit behind. Dane Van Gisbergen lurking in the background of Benjamin Peterson and Yuki Tsunoda. Looks like he's probably going to take the championship lead after this one, unless Robbie can get into the top 10 here. Really trying to do. As here he goes around Lindsey Brewer. Where does Miles Rowe place his car? Just in a good enough spot for Robbie to get into the top 10, as Miles Rowe cannot make it to the end. It seemed like it was going to be tough to do, but he throws it in now with 7 laps to go. That is unfortunate. Marcus Armstrong still trying to hang on and make it to the end, but nearly loses it in front of Lindsey Brewer. Collision there could have been another yellow flag late in this race. Marcus Armstrong hanging on to a top 10 finish. Mahavir Raghunathan in a good spot in 8th. He's had a pretty good day today. So has Glubler in 7th. Both those drivers looking at their best result this season. Things stay as they do. Shane Van Gisbergen trying to close in, but can't quite get there, as Stingray Robb now going to go by Lindsey Brewer for 11th. He's trying to get his first top 10 this season. This would be the first top 10 for Magenta Trees this whole season, if he can pull this off. Glubler as well would make a good top 10, as these two Viking racing cars have gone back and forth for so many laps now. Yuki Tsunoda still trying to claw in a gap at Catherine Legg, but can't quite get there. If Catherine Legg can pull this off, this would be the first win for Viking Racing since, I believe, Marcus Armstrong at Dover back in Season 2. It's been a long time. About a year at this, probably over a year at this point. Just needs to keep working at it. Louis Foster trying to break into the top 10 at the end here, but those soft tires are probably starting to go. So I don't think he has much in it anymore, but he's still going to try his best. But that is massively disappointing, but just hit way too early to be able to pull that off, as Benjamin Peterson could be under threat from Shane Van Gisbergen to steal his podium away in the dying stages of this race. 4 laps to go. Going to be all over the back of Benjamin Peterson. He's going to try to go for it here around the outside. Can't quite get there. Just takes a peek. It's a little bit of clean air. And now he's going to try to get it down into the chicane. Podium here could put him into the championship lead, as Ryan Preece has gone off track once again. And Chet Jordan is in trouble. He is in the middle of the track. He's going to get back going as Shane Van Gisbergen. Watch a replay of what happened here just so... Yeah, just got around the outside. Was able to make it stick. Very good driving by Van Gisbergen, but Peterson is fighting back. But Van Gisbergen going to hang on. Going to be in the podium places as Glubler got by Guy Gagné for 6th. Jet Jordan spawned, Ryan Preece also spawned at the same time, basically. As side by side, Van Gisbergen and Peterson with 3 laps to go, and there goes Peterson once again. So these guys not done yet. As Peterson pulls into pit lane, he cannot make it with just a couple laps to go. Heartbreak for the 29 of Benjamin Peterson, as Van Gisbergen and Zilich going to battle for 3rd. And Van Gisbergen's going to get it, but he's going to have a big slide into the S's. So the 29 could not make it to the end, and he's going to lose out. I don't even know what he did. He may have just been a little short on fuel. But he is going to finish way down the order, and that is going to be heartbreak. As now the battle for the podium is on. Catherine Legg coming to the white flag, but with 2 laps to go, this group is still battling 2 by 2. And it's going to be Connor Zilic who gets out ahead in third. Shane Van Gisbergen hanging on in fourth as Catherine Legg is on the white flag. Priest has crashed again. That's kind of embarrassing. I think you should probably hang it up now. But Catherine Legg hanging on a long stint. This could be the first win for Masters of Motors in a very long time. It has been a very good drive today. Up 10 spots, second biggest mover. Mahavir Raghunathan will get the biggest mover award from 21st to 7th. But it has been a wonderful drive for Catherine Legg. She's going to win as a rookie for Masters of Motors at the Grand-Prix of Road Atlanta. Very good win for Catherine Legg. Yuki Tsunoda is going to take second, and the battle for third is going to be Connor Zilic, with Gagne fourth, Van Gisbergen fifth, Glubler sixth, Mahavir Raghunathan, biggest mover. He's going to finish seventh. That is a good result for him. Eighth is going to be Robbie Lohr. He was your points leader coming into this race. Not exactly what he wanted, but considering where he started, as the battle for the top 10 is on, and it seems like Louis Foster is going to get the final spot as Marcus Armstrong 9th and Louis Foster 10th. Unofficial results scrolling across the top. Good win for Catherine Legg in Masters of Motors. First Fast 6 appearance yesterday, and that's enough to get it done. Very good drive. Once again, a battle of strategies, and she is out of fuel. Does not have enough fuel to make it up the hill. Nearly gets hit by Zilic. So barely makes it to the end on fuel and is going to park in the chicane as everyone's driving around her. Let's take a look at your final results. Catherine Legg gets the win, 4.5 seconds up on Yuki Tsunoda as she gets the tow. Connor Zilic going to take back-to-back podium placements. Very good drive. Guy Gagne will take P4. Shane Van Gisbergen back into the top 5. He'll finish 5th. 6th is Globler. First top 10 for the Magenta Trees this season. And then Mahavir Raghunathan, a very good drive for him. He'll finish 7th after starting 21st. Robbie will finish 8th. He was your points leader coming into this race. Not exactly what he wanted. Still a good drive from where he was. Marcus Armstrong will finish 9th. That's a pretty solid drive from him. And then Louis Foster, not where he wanted, but does rebound to a top 10 on pretty old soft tires, all things considered. Stingray Robb just comes up short in 11th of a top 10. Lindsey Brewer will take 12th. Brendan Hubbard 13th. Jacob Abel not quite able to replicate his success at Oregon. Will finish 14th, and that'll be his first time where he won't finish inside the top 10 this season. Ethan Martz 15th. David Malukas, a bad pit stop and then bad strategy once again hurts him. He'll finish 16th. Gail Barnhart 17th. Also pretty painful. Dorian Penn, rough day today, will finish 18th. Benjamin Peterson, heartbreak, will finish 19th. Miles Rowe tried the best he could. Couldn't get to the end. He'll finish 20th. Alessio Deletta will take 21st. And then rounding out the field, 22nd, Chet Jordan. 23rd, Ryan Preece. That was a pretty rough day for that 64 team. Pretty hard to watch, in all honesty. And then Callum Ilott launches himself out of the track in just the third turn. So a very interesting day for Road Atlanta. You're starting to see the championship being guided as Shane Van Gisbergen, I believe, will be the points leader after this one, but Yuki Tsunoda not going to be far out of it. Catherine Legg going to put herself back into it. Robbie's not going to be far out of it. Actually, I think Robbie may be able to hang on to it with where he finished. It's going to be interesting. Check it out in the Discord. Up next, we move a little bit farther north up to VIR for Virginia. And I hope to see you guys there. It'll be a good race.